Alright everybody, pause your playlist, throw that cold pizza back in the fridge, or don't, live your truth, and buckle up. Because today we're not just scrolling past sad statistics or reposting mental health quotes on Instagram. Oh no, we're doing a deep dive, like existential deep. We're talking about why so many young Americans are mentally tap dancing on the edge of burnout, while still managing to post cute selfies and keep up with 12 different group chats. It's wild, it's worrying, and honestly, it's kind of tragic how normal it's become. So let's peel back the layers of this digital age onion. Yes, there will be tears, and figure out what's really going on behind the rising rates of anxiety, depression, and emotional exhaustion among today's youth. Today, we're diving into one of the most bizarre, concerning, and absolutely eye-opening trends happening in the United States: the mental health crisis among young people. Yep, it's like that one episode of Black Mirror, but it's real life and everyone's kind of losing it. The numbers are in, and folks, they're not cute. First off, let's talk stats. Because numbers don't lie, unless you're doing your taxes. According to the CDC, in 2023, nearly 3 in 5 teen girls felt persistently sad or hopeless. That's 60%. 60. That's more than the percentage of people who believe pineapple belongs on pizza. And well, that's saying something. 1/3 of high school students said their mental health was not good most of the time. Over 40% of youth surveyed said they feel regularly anxious or depressed. These aren't just statistics, they're red flags waving wildly in a hurricane. More young people are being hospitalized for mental health-related issues than ever before. Emergency rooms across the country are seeing more teens with suicidal ideation or self-harm injuries. And let's not forget, this crisis doesn't discriminate. It affects all races, genders, income levels, and sexual orientations, though spoiler alert, some groups are hit harder than others. Don't worry, we'll get there. Let's just say if Gen Z had a group chat, it'd be called something like Crisis Core, Mental Edition. Social media, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? On one hand, it connects us, entertains us, and even empowers us, but on the other hand, it can cut deep, leaving scars we sometimes don't even realize are there. Let's be honest. The algorithm knows you better than your parents. You tell TikTok everything, from your skincare routine to your late-night existential crises. Now don't get us wrong. Social media isn't the root of all evil. It's given us memes, viral dances, and more ways to say I'm fine while clearly not being fine. It's helped people build communities, find support, and speak out. But it's also a relentless highlight reel. You're constantly bombarded with curated snapshots of people's best moments, perfect bodies, dreamy vacations, aesthetic lunches, and it's easy to feel like you're not enough. Even worse, there's a performative element to it all. If you're not actively being funny, insightful, beautiful, or successful, you feel invisible. And let's not forget the rise of trends that romanticize mental illness. Sadness has become an aesthetic. Trauma is content. You get likes for posting your breakdown, but not necessarily support. Then there's the dopamine trap. Every like, comment, and notification gives a tiny hit of pleasure, until it doesn't. Young people are reporting increased rates of addiction to their devices, disrupted sleep patterns, and overall social withdrawal, even while being digitally connected to thousands. One minute you're laughing at a hamster doing backflips, and the next you're crying because you don't have a 6-figure brand deal and a beach house in Malibu at 19. Chapter 3: School Stress and Standardized Misery. Raise your hand if you ever cried over math. Be honest, we've all been there, sitting in front of a textbook with numbers that may as well be ancient hieroglyphs, wondering why learning calculus is more important than learning how to do taxes or manage emotions. American schools, in theory, are supposed to educate and inspire, but in reality, they've become high-pressure battlegrounds where students are expected to be academic warriors, extracurricular overachievers, and emotionally unshakable all at once. From kindergarten through college, the pressure is real: constant standardized testing, long hours of homework, competitive college admissions, and extracurricular burnout. Add in the often severe lack of funding for mental health services, overworked counselors, when there are counselors, and disciplinary systems that often punish rather than support struggling students. And you've got a recipe for burnout. College students aren't faring any better. With tuition fees higher than ever, many work part-time or even full-time jobs while attending classes. That's not even counting student debt looming over them like a financial dementor. Stress becomes normalized, exhaustion is glorified, and mental health takes a back seat to GPAs. Chapter 4: The Pandemic Plot Twist. Enter COVID-19, the virus that broke the world. The pandemic wasn't just a global health crisis, it was an emotional and psychological gut punch to an entire generation. For young people who thrive on social interaction, the lockdowns were particularly brutal. I mean, imagine being a high school senior during lockdown. No prom, no graduation, no awkward goodbye hugs, just Zoom calls and endless uncertainty. The isolation was profound. Many teens and college students reported increased levels of anxiety, depression, and hopelessness during quarantine. For some, it was the first time they'd ever really sat with their thoughts. And it wasn't pretty. And let's not forget, the pandemic also brought job losses, housing instability, and the death of loved ones. These traumas left deep scars. And those scars haven't faded. Young people are trying to rebuild their lives in a world that still feels fragile. And that's no easy task. Picture this. You're 16, you tell your dad you're feeling anxious, and he says, "You think you have anxiety? I had to work at 14 and didn't even have shoes." Cue eye roll. This kind of intergenerational misunderstanding is rampant. Mental health simply wasn't talked about in older generations. So many parents, guardians, or family members either don't understand what their kids are going through or dismiss it altogether. For young people living in households where mental health isn't validated, this leads to even more feelings of isolation. It's one thing to feel bad, it's another thing to feel bad and feel like nobody believes you. Some youth even face emotional neglect or abuse at home. They may be LGBTQ+ and not accepted. They may live in poverty and feel pressure to suck it up. They may be caretakers for sick family members, shouldering adult responsibilities before even finishing puberty. And while therapy is becoming more normalized, many families still see it as taboo or unaffordable. So where do these kids go? Often nowhere. And the silence becomes deafening. Chapter 6: Identity Crisis, now in HD. We love that Gen Z is unapologetically themselves, but, self-discovery isn't all glitter and pronouns. In an age of hyper-awareness, young people are exploring identity in more nuanced and complex ways than ever before. Gender identity, sexual orientation, racial and cultural heritage, neurodiversity, religious or spiritual beliefs, or even the lack thereof. But let's be real, exploration also brings challenges, especially when met with judgment, bullying, or discrimination. LGBTQ+ youth in particular face alarmingly high rates of depression, anxiety, and suicide. Many are still not safe to come out. Many are kicked out of their homes. Many face harassment online and in real life. And then there's the sheer pressure of having an identity. Online, you're expected to know exactly who you are, what you stand for, and how to label it, all by age 17. That's a lot to ask of someone still figuring out if they like mushrooms on pizza. In short, identity can be liberating but also overwhelming, especially when you're still becoming who you are. Chapter 7: Economic Anxiety, the Stress of Making It. Remember the American dream? The one where you go to college, get a stable job, buy a house, raise 2.5 kids, and live happily ever after? Yeah. Gen Z would like to speak to the manager. Young people today are staring down an economy that looks more like a Jenga tower during an earthquake. Inflation is wild. Rent is astronomical. Buying a home is a pipe dream unless you've got rich parents or a YouTube channel that went viral. Even entry-level jobs are out of reach for many. Employers want 5 years of experience, a master's degree, and your firstborn child for a job that pays barely above minimum wage. This constant economic instability breeds anxiety. Financial worries bleed into every aspect of life: health, education, relationships, and self-worth. The pressure to succeed becomes overwhelming when the metrics for success are increasingly unattainable. So yeah, while older generations were saving for retirement, Gen Z is just trying to afford avocado toast without feeling guilty. Chapter 8: Tech Fatigue, Screens, Notifications, and Existential Dread. Beep, ding, buzz, your screen lights up. Another notification, another update, another dopamine hit, and you check it again, and again, and again. Tech is amazing, but also exhausting. Young people spend more hours on screens than sleeping. Between schoolwork, social media, gaming, streaming, and Googling whether they're having a quarter-life crisis at 19, it never ends. Constant exposure to blue light disrupts sleep. Online drama causes stress. Virtual arguments affect real mental health. And the pressure to be reachable 24/7 creates a constant state of alertness. Young people report symptoms like difficulty focusing, anxiety when unplugged, decreased real-life social interaction, and low self-esteem from online comparison. Add in the fear of missing out, or FOMO, and the pressure to document everything. Yeah, it's a lot. Final chapter. You're not alone, even if it feels like it. To every young person reading this or listening to the narrator's voice right now, we see you. If you feel anxious, sad, overwhelmed, or like the world is a very loud place you can't escape, you're not broken, you're not dramatic, you're not weak, you're living through some wild times, you're adapting, and you're still here. That's something. Talk to someone. Reach out, log off when you need to, eat the snack, take the nap, and know that healing isn't linear, but neither is life. So yeah, American youth are going through it, but maybe, just maybe, talking about it with a little humor and a lot of heart is how we start to make things better. Now go stretch or cry or text your therapist. Or better yet, go outside and touch some grass. You deserve peace. Need help? In the US, you can call or text 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Free, confidential, and available 24/7.